Hello, my dear students. A very warm welcome to Shri Jayendra Rank Zone. I am your mentor for the subject Business Economics. Today, we will begin with Chapter 2, that is Theory of Demand and Supply. This chapter consists of three units: Law of Demand and Elasticity of Demand, Theory of Consumer Behavior, and at last, Supply. Today, we are starting with Chapter 2, Unit 1, that is Law of Demand and Elasticity of Demand. Let's see the learning objectives of this chapter. So, basically, in this chapter, we'll learn the meaning of demand, and then we'll see the determinants of demand. Determinants of demand is also known as factors affecting demand. We'll try to explain the law of demand. We'll see the difference between movement along the demand curve and shift to the demand curve. So basically, shift is known as increase in demand and decrease in demand. So in case of increase and decrease in demand, it is called as shift. And movement is in the case of contraction of demand and extension of demand. We'll see the different elasticities: price elasticity, cross elasticity, income elasticity, and so on. So price elasticity, cross elasticity, income elasticity. Determinants of elasticity or determinants of price elasticity. We'll try to explain the importance of demand forecasting in the business. So basically this is the last topic of the chapter, and we'll try to describe the various demand forecasting techniques. Let's see the meaning of demand. So the concept of demand basically requires few things: that the person should have purchasing power, he should have desire to buy something, and at last he should be ready to spend that money for purchasing some product or taking some services. So let's see the concept. So the concept of demand refers to the quantity of goods or service the consumer is willing and able to purchase. That means purchasing power, point number one. It is to be noted that demand in economics is something more than desire. So basically, you need something, but you don't have purchasing power. You are not ready to spend money. In that case, at that point of time, your desire will only be desire till the time you are ready to spend money. If you are not ready to spend money, your desire can't be fulfilled. For example, an example of beggar is given over here. So a beggar, for instance, may desire food, but he don't have money to buy that food, so he can't be able to satisfy his desire, and his desire can't be converted into demand. So we can write over here: a beggar's desire cannot be converted into demand because he do not have purchasing power, that is ability to pay for the desired product. Thus, we can say that effective demand for a thing depends upon these following things. Depends upon number one, the person should have what? The person should have desire for something. But only desire will not make sense. He also should have resources to purchase. Resources to make purchase. That is money. Or purchasing power. And at last, we can say that he should be willingness to pay. He should be willing to pay. So willingness to make payment. For the product. I believe you must have understood till over here. Let's move to our next topic. That is, what determines demand? What determines demand? So, if you could see the determinants of demand, the first determinant is price of the commodity. The first determinants of demand is price of the commodity. A very simple thing I can tell you over here about price, that if the price of the commodity increases, the demand will fall. In case of normal goods, what happens? There's an inverse relationship between the price and demand of any product in case of normal good. Normal goods in the sense, generally whatever goods we use in our daily life, it could be television, refrigerator, a computer, a laptop, etc. Price of the related commodities. Now over here, the related commodities, there are two types of related commodities. The first commodity is known as substitute good and another is known as complements or complementary. I'll explain you what is exactly the price of related commodities. So, supposingly, in case of substitute goods, what happens? Tea or coffee. Supposingly, the price of tea will increase, so the demand for tea will fall. And because the demand for tea will fall, the demand for coffee will increase. So if the price of tea will increase, the demand for coffee will increase. This is price of related commodities in case of substituted goods. And vice versa. Supposingly the price of tea will fall, the demand for tea will increase, and so the demand for coffee will fall. Have you understood till over here? Okay, let's see the complementary part. What is complements? So in that case, what happens? Car and petrol. Supposingly, the price of petrol falls, in that case, the demand for petrol cars will increase and vice versa. The next topic is the level of income of consumer. So it's quite simple that if income of the consumer rises, there would be a positive change in the demand. So we can write it over here as if income increases, demand increases. And if income falls, demand falls. Talking about the taste and preference of consumer, the taste and preference of consumer, if shift in favor of the consumer, in that case what happened? In favor, the taste and preference of a consumer is shift in favor of the product. In that case, demand increases for that product. Demonstration effect, I believe all of you must have seen it. Supposingly what happens is, many a times if we see some product, if we see some of our friends or relatives, they're using some product, we also want that product. So demonstration effect. So what happens? By seeing it, by seeing a product, generally there is a curiosity happens and we tend to buy that product. And there could be other factors like population, etc. Have you understood? Okay, let's go ahead. Just see it over here. Price of the commodity, consumers' expectation, taste and preferences, income of the consumer, price of related goods, and other factors. Let's begin with the price of the commodity. Let's begin with point number one, that is the price of the commodity. Just write along with me. There is an inverse relationship between price and demand of the product. Let's write about price of related commodity, price of related goods. In case of substitute goods, price of good X increases. Demand for good Y increases. And price of X decreases. Demand for Y decreases. But this is the case of substitute. Let us see the case of complementary goods. Price of X increases. Demand for Y decreases. And price of X decreases. Demand for Y increases. You can take the example of car and petrol. The next topic is income of the consumer. Just write in case of normal goods, if income of the consumer increases, there is a considerable increase in demand, and vice versa. It's a opposite. So if in case the income is falling, the demand will also fall. The next topic is taste and preference of the consumer. If taste and preference of a consumer shift in favor of the product, shifts in favor of the product, the demand for the product increases. And vice versa. The next topic is demonstration effect. So demonstration effect is also known as bandwagon effect. It is also known as bandwagon effect. If we see any product and we like it, it is the human tendency that we also want that product. Example, if we see our friends using an expensive cell phone, we also tend to buy that cell phone. Okay, is it clear over here? The next factor is other factors. We can write it as size of the population as other factor. So larger the population, greater the demand for the product, and vice versa. So supposingly there is a country which a large population like India and China. So because the population is large, we can say that the demand for the product is also large. But supposingly there is a small populated country like Ghana. In that case, the demand for the product is low. So in other factors, we had written size of the population. You can write the level of national income, If national income of the country is high, the demand for the product will be high. The demand for the product will be high. And vice versa, obviously. And vice versa. And at last, we can say composition of population. See, if in the population old aged persons are a lot, the number of old aged persons are huge. In that case, medicines will be required, right? Walking sticks will be required, and these things will be in larger demand. So you can write over here, if there are more old people in the population, in the population, the demand for medicines and hospital will be high. I believe all of you are clear till here. Let's move to our next topic. And the next topic is demand function, that is law of demand. Let's try and understand the law of demand. So law of demand is a very simple concept. If price of the product falls, demand rises or demand increases, and vice versa. That means if price of the product increases, if there is a considerable increase in the price of the product, the demand for the particular product will decrease, falls. Now see the definition. According to law of demand, other things being equal or constant, if there is a price of the commodity falls, so price of the commodity falls, the quantity demanded will rise, and when the price of the commodity rises, the quantity demanded will decline or fall. So there is basically an inverse relationship between the price and the quantity demanded. Inverse relationship is opposite relationship. So in case of normal goods, this would be the law of demand. Let's try and understand the law of demand with an example. So supposingly, the price of a product is price of X is 10 rupees, and at this price the quantity demanded is 50 unit. At this price the quantity demanded for the product is 50 unit. So supposingly, if the price of the product changes from 10 rupees and it reaches to 13 rupees, that means what? There is an increase in the price. There is a increase in the price. So what happened? There would be a decrease in the quantity. So the quantity falls from 50 to 30. So there is a decrease in the quantity. Understood? This is case 1. Now see case 2. The price of the product is $10, but now the price of the product from 10 it came to $8. There's a fall in the price. That means there's a decrease in the price. Because the price of the product has gone down, there would be a considerable increase, like say 60, from 50 to 60, from 50 to 60. So we can write there is a increase in the quantity demanded of the product. You can make arrows like this, so there is no confusion. Okay, so I'm moving ahead. We need to look at the assumptions of the law. That means what the assumptions of the law of demand. Let's see the assumptions of the law of demand. So basically the law of demand holds the certain conditions or assumptions, and these conditions must be satisfied. Number one, the price of all other goods except the price of the product under discussion are constant. So price of other goods remains constant. The number of consumers in the market do not change. That means what? The number of consumer remains constant. The number of consumer remains constant. The income of the consumer remains constant. So these are just assumptions. The income of the consumers remains constant. The taste of the preference, the taste and preferences of the consumer do not change. Now, ideally, frankly speaking, in real world, it do not happen like this. But over here, it is an assumptions of the law just to prove the law of demand. So taste and preferences of the consumer over here do not change and remains constant. Do not change. Buyers behave rationally. So a rational consumer will do, and he will follow what? He will follow the law of demand. Supposingly there is an increase in the price, so he will not buy that product, or he will buy that product in lesser quantity. So the buyers will behave rationally. This is an assumption of the law of demand. The product is a normal product. So it is not a given product or it is not an inferior product. It is not a given goods or inferior good. It is a normal product. So the law of demand will definitely apply. The future prices of the product do not change. So in future the price will be constant. Now this is I told you this is just an assumption. In reality this will not happen, but just to prove the point of law of demand, this assumption has been taken into consideration. We are moving ahead with the next point, with the next topic. Demand schedule. What is a demand schedule? Students, demand schedule is nothing but it's a table. Demand schedule means it's a table showing different quantity demanded levels at different price. So demand schedule is a table. It's a table showing the different level of quantity demanded at different price. So at level A, the price of the product is 5 rupees. The quantity demanded is 10. The price falls from 5 to 4. So there is an increase in the demand from 10 to 15. The price further falls 4 to 3. There is an increase in the demand from 15 to 20. Again the price falls. Again there is an increase. Again the price falls. Again there is an increase. So demand schedule is following the law of demand and presented over here in this table. Let's see the definition of demand schedule. So demand schedule is nothing but a table which represents what? Which represents the different quantity demanded at different possible prices. We'll try to learn how to make a demand curve. We'll try to learn how to make a demand curve. Okay. We had learned the meaning of demand schedule. So we can write demand schedule is a table showing what? Showing different levels of quantity demanded at different prices, at different prices, at different prices. Okay? What is a demand curve? So demand curve is a graphical presentation of the demand schedule. So whatever we have presented, whatever we have allocated in a demand schedule, if we plot the same schedule in the form of a demand in a curve, it is known as demand curve. Let's try to make a demand curve. Let's see this demand schedule of an individual consumer. This is the same table which we had seen earlier. Now how we will make curve? This is x-axis, this is origin, this is y-axis. On y-axis we are plotting prices of the product in rupees, and in x-axis we are plotting quantity demanded of the product in units. Now at price 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 we have different levels of demand. So at 1 rupees price, at 2 rupees, at 3 rupees, at 4 rupees, and at 5 rupees we have different levels of demand. So at 1 rupees we have 60, at 2 rupees we have 35, at 3 we have 20, at 4 we have 15, and at 5 we have 10. What we will do is we will plot it properly. All of you can make this along with me. Draw in your normal notebook. So students, this is your demand curve, DD. Let's see the point. Over here, this is point A, this is point B, this is point C, the level, and this is point D, and this is the last level, that is E. And this is known as demand curve. Or we can say it as individual demand curve. Individual demand curve. I believe all of you must have understood till over here. Let's move to our next topic, and that is market demand schedule. Our next topic is market demand schedule. So quantity demanded by 3 different consumer in the market. We had assumed that there are 3 different consumer in the market, and we are calculating the market demand, the total market demand, and we have plotted in a table that is known as market demand schedule. So at a price of 5, P is demanding 10, Q has demanded 8, R has demanded 12, and in total they had demanded 30. At a price of 4, P has demanded 15, Q has demanded 12, R has demanded 18, and in total they had demanded 45. When price fall from 4 to 3, P had demanded 20, Q had demanded 17, R had demanded 23, and the total is 60. If we continue the same, over here at the price level of 2, P has demanded 35, Q had demanded 25, R had demanded 40, and in total they had demanded 100. At 1 rupee, P had demanded 60, Q had demanded 35, R had demanded 45, and total market demand is 140 units. Let's see the market demand schedule. Let's try to learn its meaning. Please write along with me. So, market demand is defined as the sum of individual demands for a product at a price per unit of time at a point of time. A table showing market demand is known as market demand schedule. Okay? Let's try and understand the meaning of market demand curve. How we'll make this curve? On x-axis, we will write total market demand. That is in units. At y-axis, we will present price. Price is 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So at 5, the total demand is 30. At 4, it is 45. At 3, it is 60. At 2, it is 100. And at a price level of 1 rupee, it is 140. So if we join on the lines, we'll get what? We'll get market demand curve. This is DD. If we try to join all the lines, we'll get what? Market demand curves. So we'll write over here, it is market demand curve. Market demand curve. You can also put it as point A, you can put it as point B, point C, point D, and at last point E. I believe it must be clear to all of you. Price is in the term of rupee. origin. Let's move ahead now. The next topic is rationale of the law of demand. Rationale of law of demand. The first rationale is law of diminishing marginal utility. Or this question could also be asked as, why does demand curve slope downwards? Because of the law of diminishing marginal utility. So what is law of diminishing marginal utility? So what happens when we consume any product, the same product again and again in a continuous manner, the marginal utility, the additional utility of the product deteriorates. Why? Because we got satisfied. So we can write it over here, the law of diminishing marginal utility as the consumer has diminishing utility for each additional unit of a commodity. The consumer has diminishing utility for each additional unit of consumption. Students, you need to understand one thing over here, that suppose the consumer had consumed 1 cup of tea. In the next time, he need to consume the same cup of tea. And not the spoon of tea. So you can't say over here that first time I had a cup of tea and second time I will have a spoon of tea, and maybe I'll have a cup of tea in the morning or I'll have a cup of tea in the evening. So the time period should not be so much. It is to be in a very continuous manner. If you had consumed a product, just you had finished the consumption of the product, you need to shift to the same unit of the same product. The next point here is price effect. So you can write it over here, the fall in the quantity demanded due to the price of the product is known as the price effect. Due to the change in the price, you can write it like this, change in the price of the product this is known as price effect. Price effect could be of because of two reasons, the substitution effect and the income effect. So income effect, I just told you that supposingly the income of the consumer is rising, then in that case what will happen, the consumer will buy more of the product, or you can say that when the price of the commodity falls, the consumer can buy the same quantity of the commodity with lesser money. You're getting it? So if the price of the commodity falls, he will be able to buy more units of the same commodity. isn't it? Talking about the substitution effect, what happens in case of substitution effect is, supposingly there is a increase in the price. Suppose there is an increase in the price of the product. In that case, what happens? The demand of the product will fall. The demand of the product will fall over here. So you can write along with me. Demand for the product will fall due to increase in the price. Why? Because you have substitute good available. So there is an increase in the price, your consumers will shift to another substitute product. And this is the substitution effect. The next topic is arrival of new consumers. So what happens? Supposingly more number of consumer enters into the market. Demand will increase. In that case, demand for the product will increase. You can also write when there is a fall, when there is a fall in the price of a product, fall in the price of a product, price of a product, more consumers will be able to afford the product. And demand for the product will increase. Take note till over here. I believe you must have understood till over here. Let's move ahead. The next topic is different uses. So what happens, students? Many a times a product is having several uses. If there is a considerable increase in the price of the product, in that case what will happen, that the product could be used for important purposes, significant purposes, and for rest of the purposes we compromise the product, we will not use it. So you can take an example and write over here, if the price of milk decreases, it will be used for making curd, ghee, butter, paneer, cheese, etc. But if the price of milk increases, it will be used for only important purposes. Example, feeding children. Okay, so I believe you must have understood till over here. So rationally of law of demand, we had seen the law of marginal utility. Then we shifted to price effect, that is the substitution effect and income effect. We had seen the arrival of new consumers and at last the different uses of the same product. Let's shift to another topic now, and that is exceptions of law of demand. And that is exceptions of law of demand. The first point is conspicuous goods. The first topic is conspicuous goods. So, what is conspicuous goods? Students, they are article of distinction. They are known as article of distinction. Many a times what happens in the society, there are people who want to show the economic power, and that is why they use this product. So if there is an increase in the price of these kind of products, their demand do not decreases. There is no fall. Their demand increases rather. So you can write over here that article of distinction are used to show economic power in the society. Example, Rolls-Royce cars, diamond, etc. The next topic is Giffen goods. So it is also known as inferior goods. This concept is given by Sir Robert Giffen, a Scottish economist. What happens in case of inferior goods? So it has been observed that when the price of the product falls, or you can keep it as when the price of given good increases, the demand do not falls. There is an increase in the demand. So when the price of given goods increases, there is a more increase in demand of given goods. Why it happens? Because students, you should understand that the price of inferior goods is increasing, so the price of normal goods will also increase simultaneously. And because the price of normal goods will increase, those people who are able to afford normal goods will not be able to afford normal goods. So the ones who are not affording it earlier and will be here in this category, they will be here only. But there would be few new consumers will be added in this category. The new consumers will be added in this category. The new consumers will be added in this category basically, and because the new consumer will added, the demand of given good will increase. I believe you understood this point. Let's see the third point, and that is conspicuous necessities. So what happens? Many a times we are using certain products, it is not necessities, but because we are using those products for a long point of time, for a certain point of time, and that is why they become a part of our daily life, and we want that product. Now there is no necessity, it is a need. We need that product. So if the price of those products are rising, still we are buying it. The examples you can take could be refrigerators, cell phones, televisions, etc. So you can write it along with me. Refrigerators, etc. Okay, let's move ahead. The next topic talks about future expectations about prices. So if a consumer feels that in future the price is going to fall, he will buy less right now. And if a consumer feels that in the coming future, in the near future, the price is going to increase, he will increase the demand right now. If a consumer feels that price of the product is going to rise in the near future, the consumer will start making purchases right now, and so demand of the product will increase, and so demand of the product will increase. Is it okay? Let's move to the next topic now. Irrationality of buyers. Many a times it happens that buyers do not behave in a rational manner. They behave irrationally. So right, many a times the consumers behave irrationally. They don't compare the prices of goods and its usage as well. They don't do any rational calculations. Let's move to the next point. This is habit forming products. Habit forming products. So many a times it happens that there are few products which is the consumers are habitual. So supposingly the price of the product is rising, still the consumers are not able to leave that product and they still consume it and the demand increases. Due to the habit of a product, the consumers still consume the product when there is a increase in the price of the product. Example, demerit goods, liquor, cigarette, etc. The last point is misconceptions in the mind of the consumers. So many a times it happens that the consumer feel that if the price of the product is high, if the price of the product is high, the quality of the product is also high. And that is why he make purchases and there is an increase in demand. So it happens. And at last, the speculative goods. So you must have seen in the stock market, if the price of a share is increasing, the demand is increasing and not decreasing. So the example is stock market. You can write it over here. If the price of a product, of a share is increasing, the demand of that share will also increase. And law of demand is totally cornered off in this case. So it comes under exceptions of law of demand. Students, I believe you must have understood till over here. Let's move to our next topic, and that talks about expansion of demand and contraction of demand. Expansion and contraction of demand. Let's see the meaning of expansion of demand. So in case of expansion of demand, what happens is there is a movement along the demand curve. In case of expansion and contraction of demand, there is a movement along the demand curve. I'll write over here movement along the demand curve. This topic is coming further. We'll see in detail. So according to the law of demand, when the price of the commodity decreases, the quantity demanded will increase. And when the price of the commodity falls, the quantity demanded will increase, obviously. And when the quantity demanded of the commodity decreases due to the increase in the price, so this is known as contraction of demand. So this is price and this is quantity demanded. Due to the increase in the price, the quantity demanded falls, and due to the decrease in the price, the quantity demanded increase. This is the expansion of demand, and this case is contraction of demand. Is it clear to all of you? Let's see this expansion and contraction of demand. So we are over here, this is the price, this is point A. If I talk about extension of demand, in that case there would be an increase in demand. So due to the fall of the price from P to P1, there is an increase in the demand from M to M1. The quantity demanded is increases. This is known as expansion of demand. And talking about the contraction of demand, because the price has gone up from P to P2, from P to P2, there is a fall in the quantity demanded from N to M2. This is x-axis, this is y-axis. This is demand curve. Let's try to make an expansion of demand diagram quickly. X-axis, origin, y-axis. Suppose the price is 10. The quantity demanded at 10 is 50. There is a fall in the price from 10 to 7. P1. The quantity demanded will increase from 50 to 80. This is Q1. Now this curve is known as this is a situation of expansion of demand. Over here the price is shown, and over here on x-axis the quantity demanded is shown. That is in units. Let's see contraction of demand now. This is x-axis, this is origin, this is y-axis. Over here we will denote price. Over here we will denote quantity demanded. That is in terms of units. So at 10 rupee price, the quantity demanded is 50. The price has gone up from 10 to 18. Now there is a fall in the quantity demanded from 50 to 30. And this is our contraction of demand. There is a demand curve showing contraction of demand. So contraction of demand. Students, I believe you must have understood till over here. Let's move to our next topic, and that talks about increase in demand and decrease in demand. So increase in demand and decrease in demand. See what happens in case of increase in demand. You can write along with me. Increase in demand refers to a rise in the quantity demanded due to changes in other factors and not price. So you can write it as price remains constant. In increase in demand, the other factors are changing, and because of the other factor, there is an increase in demand, but price of the product is constant. So in our example, supposingly the price of the product is 10 rupees. So the price of the product has not changed and it is still 10 rupees only. But other factors have changed. Supposingly the taste and preferences have changed, future prediction has changed, and so on. Let's see the meaning of decrease in demand now. So decrease in demand refers to fall in the quantity demanded due to the changes in the other factors price remaining constant. I believe you must have understood till over here. I'll make a diagram for increase in demand. Just copy along with me. This is x axis, origin, y axis. Over here I am showing price in rupee. Over here I am showing quantity demanded. That is in units. Now price remains constant. So supposingly the price of the product is 10 rupees. At this price only, earlier the consumers were demanding 50 units, that is quant Q, and now the consumers are demanding more, that is 80 units, that is quantity 1. On the same demand curve, there is a considerable change. So this is the old demand curve DD, and this is a new demand curve D1 D1. I believe you must have understood till over here. Let's try and make decrease in demand curve. This is Y. Over here I am showing price in terms of rupee. X axis, quantity demanded. The price is 10. At this price, earlier they were demanding 50 units and now they are demanding 30 units. This is DD demand curve, and there is a shift in the demand curve from DD to D1 D1. This is demand curve showing decrease in demand. Decrease in demand. Okay. Let's move to the next topic now. movement along the demand curve versus shift in the demand curve. Students, I already explained this to you. Just give it a quick reading. So, a movement along the demand curve indicates what? Changes in the quantity demanded because of what? Because of price changes. Other factors remaining constant. A shift in the demand curve indicates that there is a change in the demand at a price, possible price, because one or more other factors such as incomes, taste and preferences, or price of some other goods, say related goods, have changed. So this is movement along the demand curve and this is shift of the demand curve. So in shift of the demand curve, price remains constant. Examples are increase in demand and decrease in demand. And over here, other factor remains constant. We will write other factors remains constant. Expansion and contraction of demand. So this is a very simple topic. I believe you must have understood it. Let's see the next topic, and that is elasticity of demand. Elasticities of demand. Let's see the meaning of elasticity of demand. So elasticity of demand is also known as the price elasticity of demand. It is defined as the responsiveness of quantity demanded of a good to changes in one of the variables on which the demand depends. Precisely, elasticity of demand is the percentage change in quantity demanded divided by the percentage change in price in case of price elasticity of demand, in income in case of income elasticity of demand, and so we are writing in one of the variables on which the demand is dependent. Let's see the formula for elasticity of demand now. Price elasticity is denoted by the term EP, percentage change in quantity demanded divided by percentage change in price. We can also write it as percentage change in quantity demanded. We can also write it as change in quantity divided by the genuine quantity, that is the original quantity. Whole you could divide with percentage change in price. So change in price, we need to divide it to original price for finding the percentage. Original price multiplied by 100. So if you simplify it, it would be like this: change in quantity demanded, change, so delta is change, delta equal to change upon quantity multiplied by price upon change in price. Please note down till here. So symbolically, how it could be written as? It could be written as price upon quantity multiplied by change in quantity upon change in price. Price elasticity equal to. Delta denotes very small change. I believe it is clear. Let's see a few illustrations. Illustration number 1. The price of a commodity decreases from 6 to 4. So price is 6, P1 is 4. There is a fall in the price. If I talk about the change in the price, it is 2. And as a result of it, the goods increases from 10 units to 15 units. So quantity is 10 units, the new quantity is 15 units. So change in quantity is 10 to 15, that means 5 units. Put it in the formula. Price elasticity of demand equal to price upon quantity multiplied by change in quantity upon change in price. So original price is 6, original quantity is 10, change in quantity over here is 5, change in price is 2. Try to simplify this. 3 by 2 equals to 1.5 equals to 1.5. Let's see another example. The next illustrations talk about a 5% fall in the price will lead to 15% rise in the demand. So as per our formula, price elasticity equal to percentage change in quantity demanded divided by percentage change in price. In quantity demanded, there is a considerable change of 15%. In price, there is a change of 5%. So 15 by 5, the answer is 3. So because the answer is 3, which is more than 1, we can write this is a elastic demand. This is a elastic demand. Let's move ahead with illustration number 3. The price of the good decreases from 100 to 60 per unit. So price is 100, P1 is 60, change in the price is 40. Change in the price is 40. There's a decrease, so it is minus 40. The price elasticity is 1.5, so EP equal to 1.5. And the original quantity demanded is 30. So Q equal to 30. What we need to find out? New quantity demanded. Q1 is missing. The new quantity demanded is missing. If you put it in the formula, you will get it as EP equal to P by Q multiplied by delta Q by delta P. So EP over here is 1.5 equals to P is 100, Q is 30, delta Q we do not have it, delta Q and delta P is minus 40. If you try to solve it, this 40 and 100, this is 2.5. 30 multiplied by 1.5 is 45. So 45 equal to 2.5 Q. So Q equal to 45 by 2.5 equals to 18. So change in quantity is 18. In that case, Q is 30, change in Q is 18. So Q1 would be 30 plus 18 equal to 48. I believe all of you must have understood this. The new quantity demanded would be 48 units. Let's move to our next topic, and that talks about point elasticity. What is point elasticity? So basically point elasticity is elasticity at a particular point. So point elasticity of demand is the ratio of percentage change in quantity demanded of a good to a certain change in its price calculated it at a specific point. At a very specific point on a demand curve. Let's see this. So basically the formula is lower segment to calculate point elasticity is lower segment upon upper segment. So over here the lower segment range is here from R to T. So lower segment is RT and upper segment is TR, small t and R. So the point elasticity at point R will be calculated like this, RT upon TR. This is upper segment and this is lower segment. Understood? Okay. See it over here. At point R, how we'll calculate lower segment upon upper segment? At point R, it is RT, this is lower segment, and upper segment is TR. At point S, lower segment, so ST, upper segment, TS. At point L, how can we calculate LT upon TL? Understood? Over here it is infinity and at point T it is equal to 0. So this is known as point elasticity of demand, shown on a demand curve. The next topic is arc elasticity. What we calculate in arc elasticity, how we measure arc elasticity. So basically there are 2 points, point A and point B, and there is an arc over here. What is the elasticity of this arc? So arc elasticity measures the elasticity between 2 points using the midpoint between the 2 curves. So there is a point A, there is a point B, and between these 2 points there is an arc is. So we need to measure that what this arc denotes. This is what but arc elasticity. Let's see the formula for arc elasticity. So we have quantity 1, we have quantity 2. So quantity 1 minus quantity 2 divided by quantity 1 plus quantity 2 multiplied by price 1 plus price 2 divided by price 1 minus price 2. So by this formula, we can easily calculate arc elasticity. I'm writing a question over here. So supposingly P1 is 500, P2 is 400, Q1 is 100, Q2 is 150. So how will calculate arc elasticity? This is Q1 minus Q2. This is Q1 plus Q2 multiplied by P1 plus P2 divided by P1 minus P2. So Q1 minus Q2, 500 minus 400 minus 150. 100 minus 150 divided by 100 plus 150 multiplied by 500 plus 400 divided by 500 minus 400. So it is 100 minus 50 is minus 50. Over here it is 250. Over here it is 900 and over here it is 100. If you calculate it using your calculators quickly. Okay, so we'll get what? We'll get 1.8. Let's move to our next topic, and this is interpretation of numerical values of elasticity of demand. How we'll interpret it? So the numerical values of elasticity of demand is having numerous interpretations. The first is zero elasticity of demand. Zero elasticity of demand. So zero elasticity of demand is what? Perfectly inelastic. Perfectly inelastic. Supposingly there is a change in the price, but still there is no change in the quantity. In zero elasticity of demand, supposingly there is a change in the price, but there is a no change in the quantity. So elasticity of demand is zero over here. How we'll make a diagram of it? X-axis, origin, Y-axis. Over here we are showing price. Over here we are showing quantity. This quantity, that is Q, do not changes with the changes in price. P, P1, P2. And this is a demand curve, D. The next topic is elasticity of demand is 1, that is unitary elastic. So we'll write over here it is unitary elastic or unit elastic. X origin, Y, over here we will denote price, over here we will denote quantity demanded, that would be in units. So price is 10, quantity is 100, price decreases from 10 to 5, this increases from 100 to 150. This DD demand curve, this is unit elastic. Elasticity of demand is equal to 1. Let's move to the third topic, and that is elasticity of demand is greater than 1. So we will write, because it is greater than 1, it is elastic demand. It is elastic demand. X origin, Y. Over here we will denote price in terms of rupees. Over here we will denote quantity demanded in terms of units is greater than 1. So what happens is, supposingly the price is 10, the price changes from 10 to 12. At 10, the quantity demanded was 100. Because there is a increase in the price from 10 to 12, because there is an increase in the price, the quantity will decrease from 100 to say 20. And this demand curve becomes a bit flatter. So this is known as more than 1. Elasticity of demand is greater than 1 or more than 1. Draw it. Let's go to the next one, and that is elasticity of demand is less than 1. Inelastic demand less than 1. X origin, Y price in terms of rupee. Over here we will denote what? Quantity demanded in terms of units. Supposingly price of the product is 100. At this price we are demanding 1000 units. The price falls from 100 to say 50 P1, but there is only a slight increase in the demand from 100 to 1000 to 1200, and this is a bit steeper. This demand curve is a bit steeper. So elasticity of demand is less than 1. I believe it is clear to all of you. Elasticity is infinite. The next topic, or zero elasticity. So elasticity is infinite. We'll write like this. Elasticity is infinite. In that case, what will happen? Just see this diagram, graph. With the same level of price, on the same price, there would be numerous units which could be bought. And that is why it is known as elasticity of demand is infinity. See this chart. Numerical measures of elasticity: at 0 it is perfectly inelastic, at infinity it is perfectly elastic, at greater than 1 it is elastic, less than 1 it is inelastic, and equals to 1 it is unit elastic or unitary elastic. Just read the verbal descriptions in between. In 0, quantity demanded does not change as price changes. In 0, quantity demanded does not change as price changes. Greater than 0, so quantity demanded changes by smaller percentage than does the price. At 1 it is equal, exactly the same. Over here, exactly the same. Greater than 1, as compared to price, the demand or quantity demanded is changes much in a larger percentage. So quantity demanded changes by what? Larger percentage. And in infinity, purchasers are prepared to buy all they can obtain at some prices, and none at all at an even slightly higher prices. So either they will buy whole or nothing. So this is elastic. I believe you must have understood till over here. Let's try and understand the next method, and this is very important: total outlay method or total expenditure method, or you can also call it as total revenue method. So whatever is expenditure in a consumer's point of view, the same thing we call it as revenue as per the seller's point of view. So this is known as total outlay method, total expenditure method, or total revenue method. The price elasticity of demand for a good and the total outlay, that is expenditure made on the good, are greatly related with each other. From the changes in the total expenditure made on the good as a result of changes in the price, we can know the price elasticity of demand for the good. But it should be remembered that with the total outlay method, we can know only whether elasticity is equal to 1, greater than 1, or less than 1. You can't calculate it very precisely. So in a very precisely, you can't calculate the coefficient of elasticity. I believe you must have understood till over here. The total outlay method. Okay, so let's move ahead. Let's see this total outlay method of calculating the price. So if the price increases, the TR increases, that is the total revenue. Okay, if the price increases, the demand will be termed as elastic demand. If it decreases, if the price decreases and the total revenue increases, the demand will be termed as elastic demand. In unitary case, it would be the same, so there is no problem. But in case of inelastic demand, it would be the positive relationship. So if price increases, the TR also increases, and the price decreases, TR also decreases. So you can do this over here. You can write it. Case 1, price of X increases, quantity of X decreases, the total expenditure rise, demand is inelastic. Case 2, price of X increases slowly, but quantity of X decreases very steeply, faster, and total expenditure there is a decrease. Demand is elastic. Demand is elastic. Case 3, price of X, X is the product, price of X increases and quantity of X decreases in the same proportion. This proportion is same. So total expenditure will be unchanged. Unitary elastic. Note down this. Let's move ahead to the next topic, and that is determinants of price elasticity of demand. Determinants of price elasticity of demand. The first determinant is availability of substitutes. So what happens in case the substitutes are available? Demand is elastic. Position of commodity in a consumer budget. So supposingly the consumer is uh, spending a lot, spending in a very large quantity or a very small quantity, large or small. In that case, the demand will be inelastic. In medium quantities, the demand will be elastic. Demand will be elastic. Nature of the needs that commodity satisfied. The third, if the commodity has more number of more usage, elastic demand. Fourth, number of uses to which a commodity can be put in. Nature and need of the commodity satisfied. So in case of necessities, inelastic demand. The fourth, I think I had explained you that more number of usage, elastic demand. In case of time period, so long time period, elastic demand. Short time period, inelastic demand. If consumer is habitual, in that case, inelastic demand. The next is tied demand. So if the demand depends upon some other product, in that case, it is not free, it is not autonomous. In that case, what will happen? The demand will be inelastic. Dependent demand, dependent upon some other product, so it would be inelastic. Price range, very high range or very low range, inelastic. Middle range, elastic. I believe you must have understood till over here. Let's see income elasticity of demand. So basically the income elasticity of demand measures how the changes in the consumer's income affect a specific demand. Let's write the formula. Income elasticity of demand, percentage change in demand due to percentage change in income. It is known as income elasticity of demand. Percentage change in demand, how you will calculate that? So you will write delta Q upon Q multiplied by delta Y upon Y. So instead of price, we are writing income. And finally, you can simplify it as delta Q by delta Y equal to Y by Q. Let me explain you. So if income of the consumer rises from 10,000 to 15,000, and due to this, demand of product X rises from 100 to 170. This represent that income elasticity of demand is elastic. Income elasticity of demand is elastic. Let's see another topic, and that is cross elasticity of demand. So basically there are two different goods which are compared in cross elasticity. Due to the change in the price of tea, if the demand of coffee increases or decreases, this is basically the cross elasticity of demand. Please write the formula for cross elasticity of demand. Percentage change in quantity of X, X is the product, due to percentage change in price of Y. So this is cross elasticity of demand. So cross elasticity of demand is the responsiveness of demand for a product in relation to changes in price of another related product. And over here the related product could be tea or coffee. Over here you can take it X as tea and Y as coffee. If you want, we can simplify it and write the formula for it. Cross elasticity of demand. So delta Qx upon Qx divide by delta Py upon Py. If you could simplify this, you will get what? Delta Qx upon Qx multiplied by Py upon delta Py, and finally you will write delta Qx upon delta Py multiplied by Py upon Qx. Cross elasticity of demand. Let's move ahead and see a few illustrations in relation to cross elasticity of demand. The price of 1 kg of tea is 30. So we will write Px equal to 30. At this price, 5 kg of tea is demanded. So Qx is 5 kg. The price of coffee rises from 25 to 35. So P of y is 25. P1 of y is 35. Change in Py equal to 10. 25 minus 35, so it would be minus 10. Let's move ahead. And the quantity demanded for tea rises from 5 kg to 8 kg. So over here it is 5 kg to 8 kg. Now change in quantity demanded for X would be 3 kg, 5 minus 8, so this would be minus 3. Put it in the formula, delta Qx upon delta Py multiplied by Py upon quantity of X. So this would be 3 by 10 into 25 by 5. Try to simplify this. 1.5. Let's see another illustration. The price of 1 kg of sugar is 50. So Px equal to 50. At this price 10 kg was demanded. So Qx equal to 10 kg. The price of tea falls from 30 to 25. So P of y 30. P1 of y is 25. The consumption of sugar rises from 10 kg to 12 kg. The consumption of sugar rises from 10 kg to 12 kg. What is the change? The change would be 2 kgs. Put it in the formula. Delta Qx upon delta Py multiplied by Py upon quantity of x. This would be 2 upon minus 5. This 30 minus 25 is minus 5. Multiplied by 30. This price of y. Quantity of x is 10. If you solve it, 32 just 60 upon 50, the answer is 1.2, is in minus 1.2. Clear everybody? Let's shift to our next topic, and that is advertisement elasticity. So basically, if we advertise a product and because of that the demand changes, that is known as advertisement elasticity. Advertisement elasticity of sales refers to the responsiveness of sales with proportionate or percentage change in advertisement expenditure. The formula is percentage change in demand due to what? Due to percentage change in advertisement expenditure. Advertisement expenditure. Is it clear? Let's see this. The interpretation. So elasticity is 0. That means demand does not respond to the advertisement. Elasticity is greater than 1. That means demand is less than proportionate to change in advertisement expenditure. Equal to 1, that means same proportion. More than 1, that means demand changes at a higher rate as compared to advertisement expenditure. And over here, lower rate, so less than proportionate to the change. Let's move to the last topic of this chapter, and that is demand forecasting. What is demand forecasting? So demand forecasting is the process of making future estimations about the product that is to be demanded. So about future consumer demands over a defined period using historical data. Historical data could be trend, sales, etc. and other informations. How we are going to use the demand forecasting? What is the usefulness of it? So goods forecast help in efficient production planning, number 1. Secondly, a firm can plan production scheduling well in advance. So production could be planned. Production could be planned well in advance. Production could be planned in advance. Third, capital investment can be aligned to demand expectations in the future. If there is a more demand expectation in the future, more capital could be invested. And at last, marketing relies on sales forecasting. So if sales forecasting is more, you can budget more, you can give more budget to marketing department so that they'll be able to fetch more sales and further more revenues, and at last more profit for the business. Have you understood this? Okay, we will move ahead with the scope of forecasting, scope of demand forecasting. Just write along with me. Demand forecasting can be at the international level. You can do demand forecasting at international level depending upon the area of operation in which country you operate. Demand forecasting or scope of forecasting could be products, that is goods, as well as services could be forecasted. Forecasting involves cost. So budget should be allocated for that, for demand forecasting. Is it clear to all of you? The next is types of forecast. Types of forecast. So you can do forecast at macro level, you can do forecast at industry level, and you can do forecast at firm level. So at macro level, if you are doing the forecast, that means what? You are doing forecast about all the general economic environment. Over here, general economic environment. If you are doing industry level, that means at a particular industry, at a particular firm, at a particular firm. So forecast can also be done as per the time period, short period. How come the short period could be defined as 6 months or less than 1 year? Forecasting can be done as per long term, that is long period, 2 to 5 years or more. The next topic is demand distinctions. Demand distinctions. So the first topic is producer goods and consumer goods. So as you all know, producer goods are goods that are used by the producers, that are used by the producers, and consumer goods are goods that are used by the final consumers, goods that are used by the final consumers. The next is durable goods and non-durable goods. So durable goods could be TV, refrigerator, vehicle. Non-durable goods could be vegetable, milk, etc. These are non-durable goods. The next one is derived demand and autonomous demand. So autonomous demand means many of the goods are having independent demand. Independent demand. And derived demand means they depend upon others. Other factor. So the demand for pen depends upon what education. Because education is required, students require to buy pen. Fourth is industry demand. Demand of the whole industry. Demand of the whole industry. Example, car industry. And company demand, Tata Cars. Demand by Tata Cars. That's it. Demand by Tata Cars. Let's move ahead. Short-term demand and long-run demand. Short-term demand could be termed as which is less than 1 year. More than 1 year. You can say it at 2 to 5 years. Methods of demand forecasting. This is the new topic. Methods of demand forecasting. So how we will be forecasting the demand? First is survey of buyer's intention. Students, over here, what the researcher will do, he will do a complete survey about the buyer's intentions. So they will check what buyers are looking to buy. What are the demands of the buyers? What are the demands of the consumers or buyers? Complete enumeration method is followed over here. Complete enumeration method is followed, but it is very costly. But it is very, very costly. There are few researchers who follow what? Who follow sample survey method. They calculate as per a sample of the market. So survey of buyer intentions. The next is method of demand forecasting is collective opinion method. So collective opinion method, so basically this method is also known as grassroots approach method. Grassroots approach method. In collective opinion method, generally what happens, opinion of sales force is taken for demand forecasting. Opinion of sales force, that is employees, is taken into demand forecasting. Next is expert opinion method. What happens is experts and professionals, consultants are approached and their opinions are taken for demand forecasting because they are learned persons. Okay. The next method is statistical method. The next method is statistical method. You can write examples as trend analysis, graphical method, least square method, regression. So these are the methods, statistical methods, which are used for demand forecasting. The above methods are used for demand forecasting. Controlled experiments. The next is controlled experiments. In this case, market studies and experiments are done under the controlled environment. Controlled environment. For what? For demand forecasting. So controlled experiments, I believe you must have understood this. The last method of demand forecasting is known as the barometric method. The method of leading and lagging and coincident indicators is useful here for demand forecasting. So barometric method, it's quite simple. The method of leading and lagging and coincident indicator is useful here for demand forecasting. I believe you must have understood it well. Students, thank you very much. We have completed this unit over here, that is chapter 2 unit 1. I believe you must have understood everything. Thank you.